Buddy, this is Brad from the Sober Glitch. I hope everyone's having a great day today. Today, today's topic I really wanted to talk about. Um, I want to touch on the themes of identity, what we identify with. Kind of my question of the day is: what if alcohol is not your identity? It's just your coping mechanism. Now, I think it's kind of a loaded question. I think a lot of people aren't going to say, "Oh, alcohol is my identity. I don't identify as a drinker, or I don't identify as an alcoholic, or identify with alcohol, being such a big part of my life." And that's probably fair. Most people identify with, being mothers, fathers. Most people identify with their career, um, their favorite sports teams, things like that. So they're going to have a lot of pushback when it comes to identifying with alcohol or as a drinker. It just seems like it's a part of their life. It's not their whole life. And for most people, that's probably true. But I don't think most people realize how much, for me, I don't think I ever really identified as like an alcoholic or anything like that. But it's crazy to think of how much alcohol was involved in everything I did. So if I wanted to go to a baseball, basketball game, I'm going to be drinking. If I wanted to go to see the movies, I'm going to be drinking. If I want to go shopping, you drink first and then you make some bad shopping decisions. If I wanted to go to the museum, if I wanted to, um, pretty much any, or if I want to go to like Disneyland or something like that, any almost like recreational activity involved drinking. So it's interesting how it's not going to be directly tied to my identity as a drinker. I'm not identifying with alcohol. However, it was such a big part of my life and just my activities and hobbies that it was sneakily a big part of my life. And it was part of my identity, whether I wanted to admit it or not. And I'm curious if a lot of other people feel the same. It's one of those things where you don't even notice how much you're drinking. It's more of an accumulation. Not everyone's going to be an extreme example of drinking a bottle a night, or, it's not like the movies where everyone is, alcoholic is someone who is passed out on a park bench somewhere every single night. That's an extreme case. And that does happen to some people. But I think for most people, when they talk about identifying as drinkers or as alcoholics, they honestly don't even really think about it. Drinking is just something they do. It's not something they are. And I can understand that when you're thinking about identity. However, when drinking is a part of everything you do, I think it is your identity whether you want it to be or not. Um, no one wants to identify as being like an alcoholic. I get it because of movies and media, it's so sensationalized at this like extreme thing. But if you're drinking to go to the movies, if you're drinking to go to Disneyland, if you're drinking to go shopping, if you're drinking to do pretty much every casual recreational activity you do, I mean, how do you not identify as an alcoholic in some form or fashion? Um, Simply because it's not fun. No one wants to identify as that. And that's perfectly understandable. To Rosie B1J, it says howl. I'll probably leave that up to my dog. He's better at it than I am, if that's what that means. But it's nice to see you. So yeah, we're asking the question today: what if alcohol is not your identity, but it's merely a coping mechanism? Um, so a lot of people don't like to identify as being alcoholics. They don't identify as drinkers, even if they drink on a weekly basis, almost a daily basis. I think it's interesting to think about because that was someone like me. I don't think, and a lot of people would even tell me when I stopped drinking that they didn't think I had like a problem. And by the way, hello to Patrick Baxter one, Mad 6126, excuse me, Mad 61276, and Patrick Baxter one again. Hello, it's nice to see you guys. Thank you for joining me. So yeah, we're touching on identity. So kind of going back to a little bit about my story. Um, I never really identified as like an alcoholic or anything like that. I didn't feel like I had a problem. I simply just did it for fun, um, like how everyone starts, right? Um, and Nevea Goff, G7J, hello to you. Nice to talk to you guys. Um, I never identified with being an alcoholic. However, it became a part of everything I did. Any recreational activity I did, I had to drink first. My whole day was planned around it. We had to make sure we got the proper Ubers. We had to make sure we knew where we were going before we went to go see a show or went shopping or even went to the beach. Anything, really, almost uh, involved some form of drinking. Um, Patrick Baxter, yes, drinking is bad. It's bad for you. Um, I'm not going to say you're a bad person if you do it, but it is definitely bad for you. In no form or fashion is alcohol benefiting you from a physical standpoint or really mental standpoint. But and think yes, don't drink. Easier said than done for most, I think, especially because culturally drinking is such ingrained in everything we do. So it's kind of tied to our identity, whether we want it or not. So I think that's pretty interesting. How much alcohol is involved. I mean, I even took my dog to a dog park. It's like a facility in Orlando somewhere. I forgot the name of it, but that dog park predicates itself on having a bar. So people drink while their dogs play together, essentially. It's just insane how much alcohol needs to be incorporated in every little thing in order to be considered a fun activity. Do we identify as a culture to be alcoholics? I don't, I mean, it seems like we do, right? I know the younger generation is kind of leaning away from it a little bit. However, they are smoking more, they are taking more medications and stuff like that. So they are still numbing themselves in one form or fashion, just maybe not alcohol. And smoking, yes, is bad for your lungs. That I agree, because I used to smoke a lot of weed and I have asthma, and that was not a great combination. That used to hurt. I had very heavy trouble breathing when I was smoking weed. So I don't do that anymore either. But, I think a great question today is to ask yourself, like, what if drinking is not your identity, but it's just a coping mechanism? If it's a part of every recreational thing we do, that's the funny part is why do we need to do it? It's attached to stuff that we're already having fun. Going to a concert, I'm already having fun watching the concert. Why am I drinking as well? Going to a theme park. Theme parks are pretty damn fun. Riding rides, eating food. Why do I need a drink as well? Seeing a movie. Why do I need a drink to see a movie? Why do I need a drink to go to a baseball game? These are all already fun things. I don't understand why the need to drink to enhance any of this stuff. But those are my thoughts. So a lot of people don't identify with being real drinkers or alcoholics, and that's more of a culture thing as a whole. So do I not know how to make? No, I don't know how to make anyone a moderator. I'm new at this. I honestly don't even know what that would do, but I'll figure it out, and maybe next time I can do that. But but anyways, I'm gonna end kind of with those thoughts: is tying drinking to identity. Most people I don't identify with that, but what does life look like if you do identify with that and can maybe break that cycle a little bit? So I'll end on that note, but I do want to say it's great talking with you guys. Um, anyone whoever needs help, whoever needs someone to talk to, don't hesitate to reach out on this channel. You can reach me at thesoberglitch@gmail.com as well. If you want to message me personally, if you ever need help, I am eventually going to get into coaching and helping people one on one. So hopefully, I could be a helpful resource to you guys. Patrick Baxter, one, thank you. I appreciate the love, and I appreciate you guys checking in, and hopefully we can have more of these conversations. But you guys have a great one. All right, take care.